Your co-founder is the one where you need to not be worried that they're going to jump ship or leave when things get bad. They're the they're the only person in the company where you're like, you need to just be like rock solid. This person's going to stick around. So the first, okay, I don't know how you want to categorize the first company, but the first company that was Decide.com that Brian and I kind of started, we started it with our college professor. And he came on kind of like later. And this college professor had previously sold a startup to Microsoft for like 200 million or something like that in like 2005. And he was like a professor and he was like super famous and all this stuff. And we met him when we first wanted to start a company. And we basically told him our idea. And he's like, your idea is really bad. Here's why it's not going to work. And we said, thank you very much. We're going to do it anyway. And then it didn't work for exactly the reasons he said. And 2 years later, we went back to his office and we said, okay, we got new ideas. And we told him about the new ideas and he thought they were more interesting. And he eventually kind of came on as a co-founder and he was like part of the company and all this stuff. And years later, I was at his wedding and I asked him, I said, why did you work with us? We were four kids, we were kids who had just spent 2 years in a basement getting absolutely nowhere. Like, it wasn't that like, oh, maybe we weren't going anywhere. We had just shown you that we got nowhere. You had sold this company for $200 million. You could work with anybody. Why did you work with us? And he leaned back and he said, I have a lot of people who come ask me to work with them on a startup. And most of those people, I don't think they're going to cut it. Their stuff's going to get rocky and they're going to jump ship, right? And with you guys, what I had was these kids who came to my office wide-eyed and so excited to start a startup. And you guys basically had abject failure for 2 years. And 2 years later, you show back in my office and you guys were just as excited about starting a company as you were 2 years before. And I said, I don't know if these guys are any good, but they're not going to jump ship, right? And so I can work with this. Like, I know how to do startups. I will teach these guys how to do startups. But the thing I can't teach them is, are they going to stick around? And these guys have already stuck around and they're kind of like still doing it. And so I think that was the whole reason he kind of like worked with us. So much so that actually there were VCs that we talked to when we were fundraising that told him he should ditch us. Like the VCs told him, was like, yo, your like cap table doesn't make sense. You're the more valuable one. Just like ditch these guys. We'll like fund the new entity, like get them off your cap table. Like, why have these like four college like kids on your like cap table, right? And like significant, founder kind of level stuff. And he didn't do it. He told us afterwards. He was like, yeah, I won't name names, but he was like, yeah, these investors wanted you guys out. These investors wanted you guys out, this kind of stuff. And I just wouldn't do it. And so I think that's something that to kind of like check with co-founders as you're kind of like talking to people and stuff is like, do you just think this person is going to stick around? Like, and when things get bad, are they going to stick around? And I'm going to tell you right now, things are going to get bad. And for people who haven't been a founder yet, when I say things are going to get bad, whatever your images of your head of like what you think that is worse than that, right? Like it's worse than that. And so you just need somebody who is going to be like, you want to quit. And you can like turn over and look at the other person. And you're like, all right, like this is where we're at. This is what we got to do. And so I think that's a kind of a really important piece.